My name is Cazhhmere Downey. I'm a filmmaker. Professionally, I go by the name Cazhhmere. I've worked with artists nation and worldwide, from Cardinal Official to Backstreet Boys. Even in Canada, my place of birth is a constant question followed by disbelief. So I decided to come back to my hometown and, as a filmmaker, answer the question the best way I know how. You know, when people ask me what my roots are, I'm Canadian. I was born in Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada. In my own country, my own birthplace, I'm constantly questioned about where I come from. This is pretty much where I grew up, where me and my mother lived before we went to move to Toronto. When I say I'm going home, I mean I'm going to Halifax. Because of the color of my skin, it's like unexpected that I'm from Canada, period, let alone have a multi-generational family that has contributed to the better being of this nation. So this whole property belongs to our family?
This is our property here. It was really once owned by all the family. Here's my mother's grave right here, and my father.
So great-grandmother Loretta, she was born here?
Yes.
In 1899?
Yes.
Wow. There's Granddad.
Yes. That's your grandfather. And
the Fighting Downies.
Yes.
He was your influence in boxing?
Oh, yes, he was.
Yeah. I think Granddad was one of the first, for me growing up, that made me realize how much history our family has in Nova Scotia and in Canada. You know, it's because he always had his plaques from the military, and then he had all his boxing pictures and everything, and I always just like, oh, my he's really cool. You know, like he's the man.
He was.
He was. Well, then when people started telling me stories about him, I was like, oh, he really was the guy, you know? Granddad was a great guy. I miss him a lot.
If I had $1 for every time I was asked where am I from, I'd be a millionaire today. The conversation usually goes like this. People I meet, so where are you from? I'm from Halifax, Nova Scotia. My people have been here 200 years. How long have you been here? That usually ends the discussion.
My family is a very typical Canadian family, you know? My mother was a army brat, as they would call them. You know, my grandfather was in the military, so my mother and her siblings, they grew up on a military base, you know, and they you know, grew up in a very, you know, strict and orderly household. My uncle played hockey, you know, my aunt was a figure skater, you know, like my family did very typical Canadian things, and as did I growing up.
We were the typical army military family, other than we were black. I think the reality hit me probably as early as grade 1 or 2, but I didn't really pay attention to it, that I was different. My mom used to always say, don't let anybody call you the N-word. And if they did, you have my permission to hit back. Me and this little girl, who was a white girl, decided to argue after school. And back then, you argued with your hands. And I remember she called me the N-word, and down she went. My mom got a call to come into the school. And I thought I was going to be in the worst, biggest trouble. All I could hear was her yelling at the principal. Here we were, one of the few military families that were black, living in all white military bases, where my mom had to defend her children and make sure we were treated with dignity and respect. Everything that happened in the States, contrary to what people might think, happened in good old Nova Scotia. There wasn't a sign on the bathroom doors saying for coloreds only, whatever, but it was understood. Visitors from throughout the province, from out of the country and that, they would have been told to stay away from the Creighton Street, the Gottingen Street.
This home here It created all our family. We had parties, we had everything, enjoyed. Everybody can tell you. I was born here in Halifax in 42. My parents were born here, and my father was born in North Preston. He left at the age of 16 or 17 to join the First and Second World War. My mom, she worked as a school teacher and that out around Fall River and things. My parents lived on Creighton Street mostly all our life. We didn't ask nobody for nothing. We didn't ask for handouts. Every one of my brothers worked, and all their life. We never had to worry about nothing.
We used to come in the city just to show off, and so I got to meet David and then got to meet the rest of the family. Then I seen his brother Graham, and from there that's where our life started. Coming from the country and being in the city, it was a different lifestyle. It was a small community that I was brought up into, and it was white and black. To go to the store, you didn't go by yourself. You were either stoned going down, and we had to learn to fight very early in life. I just found it hard growing up as a young girl in the city and in the country, being black.
We don't relate where we are physically to what we read in the history books, you know? And because I tell people, I'm like, you know, remember back in the day when there was slavery, and then all those slaves, a lot of those slaves tried to run away to freedom, and they're like, yeah, and I'm like, and where did they go? And they're like, Canada. And I'm like, well, where are we? And they're like, Canada. I'm like, exactly, but yet you're asking me, how did black people get in Nova Scotia? I love my country. I think Canada is amazing, and I feel that a lot more people should know all the amazing things that have come from our country, not just what they teach us, the bare surface things that they teach us in school. Because this is not a textbook lesson for me. It's my life. It's my history. It makes me who I am. Okay, there's me, right there. There's my mom. There's my sister. She was such a little girl. There's Uncle Francis. There's Aunt Francis.
These are all the family pictures.
Except this back there. The first reunion was in 97, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then this one was in 07, so 10 years later. I got a mystery I need you to solve for me. Yeah. I was told that my great-great-grandparents, Ralph and Viola, right. They had the 21 kids.
Yes.
Is that the right number?
That's the right number.
Really? 21? That's a lot of kids.
My family was originated from Truro, Nova Scotia. They've been settled in Truro over 100 and some years. I love digging up history.
Diane's mom.
And
yeah.
I don't see a lot of black history in around Truro. And so I start introducing that to the boys. This is the great Francis.
Well, let me see. I never seen a picture of you when you were a young man. Oh yeah, that is you. Yeah, that's Uncle Francis for sure. I've never seen very many pictures of my grandmother when she was young. What was she like when she was young?
Well, she was pretty wild a little bit.
Yeah, I do know that actually. Some people will say that. They say she was a social butterfly. They say she was wild.
Yeah, nice looking woman. And everything.
Very beautiful.
Yeah. This is one of the neighborhood guys. Right there.
That's you right there. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. Good to see you.
Welcome back to the Cultural Center.
Thank you.
This is the year that we celebrate the 100th anniversary of the No. 2 Construction Battalion. So
yes, my great-grandfather, he was a member of the No. 2 Battalion, but that's pretty much all I know.
You'll see your great-grandfather.
Yeah,
right
actually, I just noticed that. There he is right there, yeah.
George Downies. So, and it's kind of a homecoming for you, right?
It is, yes, it is.
It was for a long time and remained one of the best kept military secrets. The fact that there was a black battalion. My great-great-grandfather, his brother Samuel Collins, and his other brother John Lewis Collins served in the First World War in the No. 2 Construction Battalion. My grandfather, your great-grandfather, George Alexander Downey, he's a veteran of the First World War and the Second World War. So there's a strong legacy of fighting, of representing their country amongst the Downey Collins family and even on other sides of our family.
On paper, my family is the most Canadian family you've ever seen. I'm like, we have veterans in both world wars fighting for our country, you know? Like my grandfather's battalion's on a stamp, you know?
Exactly,
That's
right.
And personally, our military service is a big part of what makes us Canadian.
No question.
Your grandfather's in this here picture somewhere. And they marched from DeBert to Troy every morning and back to the DeBert, 14 miles. They stayed there, I think it was 2 to 3 months, training, and then they shipped them over to overseas.
That's a lot of soldiers. Do you want any soda from the break?
The family, as you might know, we're known as the Fighting Downies. And I guess we're one of the premier boxing families in Canada. On the Nova Scotia scene and in the black community, the Downey family is synonymous with the sport of boxing. My grandfather didn't box, as far as I know, but he instilled the code. His method, I guess, of conflict resolution back in his day was take it to the backyard and may the best Downey win. Everybody in the family have picked up the gloves at one time or another. My father, Bobby Downey, was a champion boxer in the Army. He was a member of the Black Watch boxing team. He was the one that inspired his younger brother, David, to get into boxing, and eventually he launched a career himself.
This is a picture of when I first won the title. When I fought Blair Richardson, I was only 19 and I won the title, and they said they couldn't believe it. I breezed through them 12 rounds like that. I was scouted to play professional baseball. And with St. Louis, and then my older brother told me, you're doing good now in the boxing. He said, you better think twice. He said, you could be down in the minor leagues for a long while. But he said, in boxing, he thought that within a short time, I could probably grab a world title. I'm the longest middleweight champ in Canada, and I was probably the most outstanding boxer for a long while.
I started boxing in 1978, a couple months short of my 10th birthday. I was led out of school around 3 o'clock one day and happened to bump into my dad, and he had a gym bag with him. I asked him where he was headed to, and he told me he was going down to the gym. So I just followed my dad into the gym, and I was amazed when I walked in there, and there was really a lot of activity going on. Guys in the street bag, guys jumping rope, guys in the ring, shadow boxing. I was just in amazement of what I saw. He said, you're gonna fight into the Olympics. He planted that seed in my mind, back of my mind. And before I knew it, I was there. I tried my best not to allow myself to get caught up into the Olympic hype. I saw it as just another boxing tournament. I had been in hundreds of boxing tournaments by that point. Going up on a medal podium, I was honored to be going up, knowing that I did my best, and I was bringing home a medal for Canada, for my country.
You had a very good ceremony.
Recently, I got inducted to the Nova Scotia Sports Hall of Fame. I actually followed my father, Dave Downey Sr., who's in the Hall of Fame. So, ironically, my career started with me following my father into a gym, and it ends with me following my father into the Hall of Fame.
The one I see is, the first one I see, it's from a member of my family.
It took them 30 years to put me into the Hall of Fame here. The last time I come in here, I saw my plaque that I have in my home sitting on the floor in here. I don't rate with these guys. I've been champion the longest. I fought more fights, championship probably fights. And this is supposed to be a Hall of Fame. That's what I said. It's ridiculous.
The Downey family, we're known for the fighting, but we distinguished ourselves in so many different areas. My Uncle Graham was an icon in municipal politics in Nova Scotia and throughout Canada. He was the first African Nova Scotia alderman, now they refer to them as councillor, in at that time the 262-year history of the city of Halifax. He subsequently was the first African Nova Scotia deputy mayor in the city for the city of Halifax, and I don't think there's been a second.
Huh? Look at Uncle Graham.
That was taken just before he died.
Was he prime minister then?
No.
Or this was before he won the
That was
election?
yeah. that
So
was
probably
before.
like just before he won the election
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll be right back. Don't run away, you
One
guys.
of my important values that I pass down to my kids, and I always tell them, one thing is to love yourself and then love your family. When I look back, I had 6 children of my own and brought up 7 others. And today, you know, I look upon it as an offer from God.
So this is downtown Halifax. This is our downtown strip, Spring Garden Road. Growing up, like, felt special coming downtown, even though it's not even that long of a downtown. It's a pretty short street. When I graduated from high school, I actually wanted to go to university in the States, but my mother was just not having that. She's like, you're not going to school in the States. She's like, you're going to school in Canada. I was being a little bit rebellious because my mother wanted me to go to Dalhousie, which she went to, but I was like, nope. And so I ended up going to St. Mary's. That was pretty much as rebellious as I could get in the situation. And I love going to school down here. And again, like I said, I love where I'm from. And I think me being able to go to live down here for those 3 years to go to university, it only helped my love for my hometown grow even deeper. So
The Arrows Club. It brings a smile to me. What my uncle, Edward William Tomlinson, Billy Downey, what he and his brothers, what he established in the nightclub business had never been done before in Halifax, and it hasn't been done since. It was the hottest club east of Montreal. The young people coming up today, they don't have what we had. He brought in live bands from the States, top name groups. Teddy Pendergrass played there. Ike and Tina Turner played there. Opened at 3:30 a.m. nightly. We thought we owned Halifax in them days. Graham was on city council. My Uncle David was the middleweight champion of Canada. And Uncle Billy ran the hottest club in town. And we would get all suited up and we would make the rounds. We would go to all these other clubs, and then at the end of the night, we'd go to our club. Well, there wasn't anything before it, and there hasn't been anything since.
I feel like people in Toronto don't really have a sense of who they are. You know, in Toronto, there's like a city of so many different cultures. You know, it's like the world in one city, as they call it. But, you know, Halifax is my culture. And it's very different than, even though it's within Canada, like Toronto is, it's still very different from Toronto. So, you know, for me, living in a city where, you know, pretty much everyone is from somewhere else, it's important to me to still have a sense of who I am. So I was told that this cemetery, the history behind the cemetery is that all this vast land over here, back in the day, is where they used to bury all the white people. And then on this side is where they used to bury all the black people of the community. In the very back, you'll see a bunch of gravestones as well. And this is a segregated cemetery. And to this day, it's still segregated, but now it's by choice, not by force. It's simply because when you pass away, you want to be next to all of your loved ones. And so for my people, all of our loved ones are all the way in the back. So that's where we choose to stay with them for all of eternity, as they say. You know, there's a strong foundation of generations of my family that have contributed in numerous ways to Canadian history and society. There aren't very many people in Canada that I know that can say that about their family or their own history, or let alone just really have a sense of where they come from and who they are. People have a very hard time grasping the concept of somebody who is basically not white being Canadian, you know, and not being from somewhere else other than Canada. It's important to me to still have a sense of who I am, you know, and I feel lucky that I don't have to travel too far to get that.
Of holding you closely, every day that we spend is like gold. Oh, baby, just stay. We don't have to let go, 'cause we're timeless and time's just a crutch for the old. These nights, these kisses, these arms, they're yours. These words, these sentiments, I've never been so sure. Get lost in me, I'll be lost too. Oh, be my hope, and I'll cling to you. Get lost with me, I'll cling to you. We'll be wrapped up in blankets underneath the sky, hoping time stands still and we will never say goodbye.